Hi, everyone. What day is it? It's Tuesday if you're watching us live. And if you're not, if you're watching or you're listening on the podcast, you can join us live on Facebook and YouTube to watch us record these. So jump over to there and watch and subscribe and do all the things. I'm your host, Richard Wilmore.
And I'm your other host, Constanza Rader. And we're so excited about this next guest.
Yes.
We have Joe Hausch with us today from Fotavia. And if you need to correct my pronunciation, he can hear in a second. But they provide therapeutic visual memories. And it's such cool, innovative work that he's developed. This product, this innovation that he's developed. And I don't want to give it away, but it's making a big impact in elder care and dementia and Alzheimer's care. So we are really excited to talk with him.
I'm super excited. I got outside of Joe and today, I got an email. I feel like this podcast is all about connection, right? Connecting people, connecting everything. And I got an email from one of our past guests, Mindy, who said that she saw an interview with Aaron Thompson that we did with Song Saga, and he saw her commercial and they contacted and now they're connecting and going to like do a podcast together. And I was like, oh my gosh, that gives me goosebumps.
That's so cool.
That's what it's all about, right? Like, so I'm excited that they could connect that way. And I want a game night to play Aaron's game. But
yes, it looks super fun.
Yeah. So two other things, because we're coming up on season 2, Stanzi. Did you know that? This is episode number 48. So in a month we start season 2. So I wanted to play a little game with you. A little trivia game.
Oh no.
It's very easy. It's like Family Feud. I just need the top 5 answers.
Okay.
What do you think our top episodes have been?
Oh,
top listened to and downloaded.
Probably both of Kathy Melchiori's interviews. Well, Kathy's by herself, and then the one with JC Hall.
Kathy's Art and Traumatic Stress is the number 1 downloaded podcast that we have. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I know. I would totally blank on everyone we've ever talked to if someone asked me this question, and that's why.
That's why you're asking me. Yeah, because I have memory lapses with names. Thank you for this.
Yes.
Our 4th episode with art therapist. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name right now. I know it's one of our top ones. Tell me, Richard.
Are you talking about Corey McDonald?
Yes.
Yes,
Corey.
That's number 2. Transpersonal art therapy. That's our number 2 most downloaded.
Okay. Who would be next? Oh my gosh, we've had so many good ones.
I'll give you a hint. You know her. You love her.
Oh, Jill Sonke's
episode?
Okay.
Social prescribing with Jill Sonke. Yes. Mm-hmm.
That was a great episode.
And then the last 2 are all about healthcare and healthcare workers.
Alan's?
Yes.
Alan Siegel?
Healthcare worker burnout with Dr. Alan Siegel. Yes. That's number 4.
Ooh. Who's the other?
I'll give you a hint. If we here in San Antonio had to do it live with her, we'd have to travel south.
Okay. So Shay's.
Yes, integrating arts into healthcare. Those are our top 5.
Houston Methodist. Okay.
Yes. I thought that was very interesting.
That is interesting.
Kind of
it's a lot of variety in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome people too.
Exactly. So that's very exciting. We start season 2 in a month, and we already have booked into, I think, June.
I know.
May or June. So it's very exciting that people we don't have to beg everybody to come. Some people come to us and say, hey, can I come on your podcast? It's really cool. So,
which is great. I mean, that's the whole purpose of this podcast, is to help build momentum around this idea that arts impacts our health and should be an integral part of healthcare and our daily lives.
Yeah. And we want to thank the iHealth channel for helping us with that. We are their first arts and health show that we're doing really well over there. So thank you for helping us do that.
Yeah. Thank you, my health.
If you're ready for the longest bio in history, it's Joe's, and I'm going to read it to you because I think it's great. He's been called, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but he's been called many things, mostly in this order: an artist, an entrepreneur, a designer, an inventor, musician, and an optimist. Half his workday, he wears a design and marketing hat as he does strategic and creative services for startup and small businesses and not-for-profits in the Midwest, because he's a fellow Wisconsinite, which I learned this morning. Creating award-winning branding logos are a strength and some of the most fun assignments. He has his hands in and around over 500 brands in his career. The rest of the day, many nights, and often weekends, he continues to change the world as president, CEO, and CEO of a unique Wisconsin edutainment startup. Fotavia, the visual network, is a digital media company that offers custom productions distributed directly and through several hybrid TV platforms. His key target markets include healthcare, senior living, memory care, hospitality, transportation, home caregiving, and education, and their unique licensing agreements and focus on the Life Picture Collection and photos from Life magazine provides incredible content for G-rated, short, 2-minute programs that engage and educate and enhance environments. Now, I think his bio is more than 2 minutes, so we could not air that on his network, but what he's done is amazing, and we get to talk to him today. So Are you ready to start the show?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Welcome to Arts for the Health of It, a podcast where you will discover creative ways to improve your health and well-being. Someone may have told you that art isn't for you, but they were wrong. Anyone can create arts for the health of it. No talent or experience necessary.
I'm just a little songbird, try to fly my way homeward with the melody, and I make the beat, don't know where it'll take me, cause when I'm in the dark of night, I sing my way back to the light. Come along with me and your heart will see that a song changes everything. Oh, oh, oh.
Hi, Joe.
Oh, I was just. Is that you singing? Is that you? Did you sing that piece?
Yeah.
It's not me. It's Natalie.
Oh,
Isn't it a beautiful song?
very nice.
We found her on TikTok and
Because we're
she
hip.
graciously let us use her song for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is watching everybody down below bobbing their heads to it, no matter if they've heard it 1,000 times, like Stancy or Joe.
I
was
love
down.
it.
Joe was
Every
down there
time.
like,
Yeah, I had my drumsticks out. I was right with it. So
Nice.
that was fun.
Joe, maybe season 2 theme song is yours. I'm just
A
saying.
big drum solo. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
probably
that's right.
not a good idea. Well, that was a great. Thank you for inviting me. I didn't have to beg yet. I'll have to probably beg to be on again. But
By season
that
5,
was
yeah.
that was a great intro. And now I've got a lot to. I guess I got to get even more in the half hour to get into the top 5, right? To break through.
Yeah.
I got to keep reminding you of our name and whatever. And by the way, let's get right to it. You guys pronounce it in the European. So Fotavia, it seems to be the European version. So Fotavia, we say here.
Probably
Fotavia. That's the
Thank
Wisconsin
you.
version of it is Fotavia.
Yeah. Fotavia.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for the correction. I appreciate Fotavia.
Well, it's funny.
That a few more times.
I had that discussion with somebody about 6 months ago. He came out actually on LinkedIn. He came up and he says, "Oh, by the way, is it Fotavia or Fotavia?" And so we decided that was the European.
Well, and they're both beautiful. I love the name. It's great.
Well, thanks.
Can you talk about what it actually is?
Sure. So about 8 years ago, I met our founder who used to own a gallery here in Milwaukee. And he was one of a handful of people that handled the Life Picture Collection. So he was selling prints anywhere from small 8x10s of Frank Lloyd Wright to large prints of the Beatles when they were on the cover of Life. So they were anywhere from $5,000 to $40,000 prints. Well, in downtime, he would invite in schools or senior living folks to come in, and there was a lot of downtime. So but then he started to realize that when people were looking at these images, I mean, photography is art, and the Life Picture Collection is some of the best art from the century, from the 20th century. So he would just see people get involved, and he would actually just get absorbed and be able to stare at photos for a long time. So he had this idea of being able to curate these stories, and he got so close to the Life Picture Collection, they invited him to come to New York, and he decided not to do that. So but the stories, the backstories, he met a lot of the life photographers. There's actually, I guess, whoops, on this side, that's all the life photographers from.
Oh, wow.
And like there's I forgot how many there were total. I know there were 2 women, which was kind of a shame, but they're brilliant. But he got to meet some of these people and hear the story. So he thought it would even be great to tell some of the backstories that way. So we basically curate. We tell the photographer what year it was done, the title of the image, and then we did I say the location and date. So it's like a museum, or it's like we're trying to teach somebody how to look at them. So then we kind of do a description of what's actually going on in the photograph. So if somebody's, to be as inclusive as possible, if somebody's hearing impaired or sight impaired, we have a voiceover reading, and then we have large white letters on the screen that describe the image. And after that, we do a kind of fly through of the image. And what's really cool about that is, what's uncool is the Life Picture Collection is deteriorating. So sometimes they only have negatives, and sometimes they have some prints, but they started scanning them a few years ago, and there's like 660,000 scanned that we have available to us, but they're scanned at like 6,000 DPI. So you see it on an 80-inch screen, or we could project it on the side of a wall. It wouldn't lose any definition, but you see the grain of the film, you see the scratches, things that the photographer never even saw, or when it was printed in life. So then we have a story afterwards of usually what was going on in the world at the time of the photograph, or if it's JFK or MLK, it'll be, something about them specifically. And then at the end, we have kind of an uplifting quote, if it's, again, from an MLK or JFK, or if it's from the photographer. Like the first movie we made was VJ Day in Times Square. So that's the nurse kissing the sailor in Times Square. And that's like in the top 3 of most iconic images of all time. So that was super cool that we did that. But in that case, they didn't know who the nurse or sailor was. So we had a quote from the photographer at that point, and it was about, it's better to click with the shutter, or better to click with people than the shutter. So it was, and that's 2 minutes, and we're kind of done. So it was an idea to have a really short, a short piece with a lot of factoids to tell the backstory and to maybe give people an appreciation for art. But we discovered other things, and we knew that it would have some other therapeutic value as well. So
let's talk about that. Where's this being used, and what kind of impact is it having?
Great question. So we started actually in hospitality, because let's go 2014. We kind of I met Bill Appleby, our founder, and then because of my branding background and whatnot, he kind of found out that I could help with logo, website development of these films and blah, blah, blah. So we started at it. 2015, 16, we were developing kind of the format and look. And in 2017, we introduced it to a hotel actually in downtown Milwaukee, the Hilton Garden Inn. And we thought that we would be the solution for the pollution, the visual pollution that was out there. So back then, we looked at our competitors as being CNN. You're going to a 4-star hotel. You don't really want to come in and see CNN. There'd be, bad things. And it's worse now. Otherwise, we'd compete with, let's say maybe ESPN, but not everybody wants to see sports. So we thought that we could be something to create an experience, is really what it was about. So we tested there, and then we found out that we really probably had a real, we could be in healthcare. So we pilot tested. We got very lucky and met the right person right away, and got into Aurora St. Luke's here in the Milwaukee area, which is a hospital with 640 rooms in it, I guess. And we pilot tested there and got some incredible feedback. We had 150 surveys. 86% of the people felt if it was patients, if it was people working there, if it was doctors, we interviewed a wide range of folks. And, they said nice things like we reduced the noise. It was better than any of the junk on TV now, and a couple other things that were just wonderful. So then we did an Alzheimer's show in it was called WRAP, W-R-A-P, I think, Wisconsin version of Activity Professionals Gathering. And that's where we met one of our biggest advocates, Pat Durham, that you'll see probably a little piece from at some point here. But the Alzheimer's conference went super. Everybody watched these things. They talked about reminisce and and how these things, or how our V clips, we call them these 2-minute things, or V clips, how that these would be incredible tools to use in their facility. So we kind of pivoted and started to focus on senior living, memory care, Alzheimer's, dementia care, and that. And that's kind of where the focus has been for the last 3 years. And, so we're going pre, that little thing we call COVID kind of happened. So before that, we were making visits and showing work, and we've done a lot in the southeastern Wisconsin area. At the same time, we were developing something called Fotavia.tv. So actually, anybody right now can go on and subscribe to our channel, and I could probably put up a link, and you guys can send to people where you can preview 6 of them for free. And but Fotavia TV kind of changed some things for us. And then we again, the pivot during the pandemic was we started focusing on trying to meet folks that could maybe license us and get to a larger audience quicker. And we were successful. And actually, we just announced in February that we're part of something called saltboxtv.com. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a free streaming service. It's designed for seniors, basically. So you can get anything from the Three Stooges to the Dick Van Dyke Show to the Lucy Show. And what was great last week, I saw those 3, and then Fotavia was plastered right between all those. So you can experience a small sampling of our library there for free.
Oh, cool. I see it. I just pulled it up, and you're right there. That's so cool.
Isn't that neat? I get little goosebumps seeing that. So yeah, the senior living market, I mean, it's been great, the feedback that we've been getting. And we've actually developed another little product based on this. And actually, I suppose somewhere along the line, done something called the toolkit, which basically it takes each one of the stories that we tell, and then we ask 3 questions of what somebody would have actually learned in there. And then following that, there's at the bottom there's some kind of related questions where we'll take it a little further. So like if it's of the Statue of Liberty from the 50s, where you could still go up in the crown, we might ask, what was the width of the steps? And we all know they're 19 inches wide. But then the related questions we might ask would be like, have you been to New York City? What's your favorite building? Things like that. So what this does is gives activity professionals something to actually work from and track and keep information, keep notes on folks if they're working with different residents, whatever, and just track how things are going. And now that has spawned something we call Fotrivia. So now it's it's just, we're testing it now. We were just in a few centers recently. Things opened up here, and we did one last week, and it was just wonderful to see the smiling faces. We had a gentleman who was 97 years old there, who was the last fighter pilot in the World War II, and he was flying over Germany apparently when he got the news that the war had ended. So hearing great stories, interaction. So we show a 2-minute V clip, and then we have these questions that we've put together from our toolkit. And watching a 2-minute V clip, and then like a minute, what we'll stop and pause in between those questions. But we have like a 20-minute conversation between. We had 15 individuals there, and we got stories about Betty over here. She had a farm in Tigerton, Wisconsin, and she had raised all these cows, and this is going on. And I asked the activity professional afterwards, I'm like, did you know she went to Tigerton? Did you know that? No. Did you know she had cows? No. So activity professionals now can learn so much more about residents in this kind of situation. And it was a blast. At one point, the 97-year-old was interviewing the other woman, saying, if you didn't get your chores done in the morning, did you get to skip school? It went on from there. It was great. So we showed, I think, probably 8 V clips, and it was an hour and a half of discussion.
Wow.
And it was after lunch. Nobody fell asleep. Everybody stuck around. It was great. And that's what we're seeing with all these things in live testing. We call it showtime. So we'll provide the popcorn and the movies. You guys just show up and watch the magic happen, because it's a blast.
That's really cool.
That's awesome. It says on your website that pleasant thoughts are invoked by visual memories that they can be therapeutic. So I kind of want to talk about what you know about how and why that happens. If you know any of the
scientific, the brain stuff.
Yeah, if you want to get nerdy for a minute.
Yeah, I don't even play a scientist anywhere on TV yet. But we do have our friends. So from what I understand, I have friends at Mind Ramp Consulting. Roger Anionson is a gentleman I met through a podcast last year, and his partner Michael C. Patterson. They wrote a little white paper about us. If you go to Fotavia.net, you can find it there. But they write about something called behavioral synchrony. And they talk about dopamine and these other neuro squirts and things that go off in your brain. That's about as nerdy as I'll get. But what I do know, what's exciting to them, is the visual image combined with, we've got original music in the background too. So there's fingerstyle guitarists actually from UWM. UWM we didn't know, or a lot of University of Wisconsin Milwaukee, or even the Milwaukeeans don't know that we have the most important fingerstyle guitar program in the world. So we've got artists coming here for that. So our musicians that we have currently, Gabriel Andrews from Australia, and he studied here at UWM, and a woman named Nia Karanova from Bulgaria, who Professor Stropes is the head of the program. He says is the best player that he's heard in 30 years.
Wow.
So we're blessed. She actually did her senior thesis on us and studied the kind of the effect of music on mood. So we were part of a study there, and then she gave us, I think, 8 pieces that she wrote to use in our work. So the music, the visuals, the combination of what goes on in the brain is what I'm learning a little bit more about, but I can't get too terribly nerdy on you any more than that. But
well, when you beg to come back in season 5,
I'll bring my nerdy friends, because they're really good.
Perfect.
Roger gets so excited about this stuff. Yeah, we'll do that. I would love to do that. But well, it is scientific, and we didn't necessarily know that when we started. We knew, actually, our founder we knew that he had some mental health issues. So he would tell us that I just get so absorbed in these images, and he used it to relax and relieve anxiety. And we didn't know that probably that it really worked until we saw it tested and saw it work real live. So exciting from that standpoint.
Well, so it sounds like it's multi-sensory. You're getting the sound, the voice overlay, the images, and then the storytelling. Like you're hitting on a lot of like active ingredients, and then it sounds like it's creating that catalyst for conversation and that social interaction. That piece is that's huge.
Yeah, it is. And especially, again, what we've just been through, who knows what's going to go on in the future, but social isolation and all that has become so important. But we knew that we create instant intergenerational conversations.
Hmm.
So it's brilliant. If if I show my daughter the picture of the Statue of Liberty and whoever, there's 3 different stories in the room, and it happens all the time. It's like somebody will throw up Marilyn Monroe, okay, and it's like, Joe, my gosh, in 1950 she was beautiful, wasn't she? And Joe says, I used to date her. What? And we heard that.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, that's the conversation, and then it goes from there. It's amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, the intergenerational stuff. I mean, we think that's why in school we think that this would be good too. I mean, if you focused, I did have it in the Whitnall school district here, and we were testing there. And again, I had to kind of pivot and focus more on health and the senior living world. And but we're very much interested in education, and we're exploring some of that now with another friend that's kind of joined us, and we're excited where that has a possibility to go. So
Cool.
I forgot where we were there, but people are calling. We're starting to also become known as a cognitive enhancement tool, and that's kind of a real interesting. I don't want to say that's a catchphrase but I don't know if we invented that even. But one of our big advocates here, he just loves it from that standpoint, kind of a continuum of care. So in home, we're thinking that if somebody's watching Fotavia there and they have to make a transition maybe to another living situation, that we can bring Fotavia into these communities, into these senior living communities, and they can say that, yes, we're a Fotavia community, and it'll be like them bringing their dresser or their favorite painting. We're just going to be part of the transition. So we're excited about that possibility and being used that way.
I'm curious how many videos you've made around, how many pieces do you have in your collection?
That's very good. Well, we had 75 up until probably the middle of last year, and our content director has been very, very busy. I wanted to have 300 by the end of this year. Right now we're at 270.
Oh, so you're you're close.
Wow.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, the range, I mean, we're trying to be again inclusive, but we're trying to be so diverse in our subject matter. The Life Picture Collection has kind of 10 categories, from transportation to celebrities to building or spaces and places, and we're trying to kind of mimic that. So we're trying to fill the same number in every little bucket, and we're doing pretty well. So I mean, most of the images that we focus on are from 1936 to roughly 1986, kind of the heyday of Life magazine. But now we're skewing into the 90s, and obviously as the population gets a little bit, the older population, we need to get some newer images. But I think 1999 is our newest image. But yeah, pretty excited. It's 270. That series is called A Moment in Time. So there's 270 of those. Fotavia, I think we've got about 30 of those done right now. So Fotavia is starting to build, and again, testing's been very popular. So we need to we're working on those right now.
Fotavia?
Fotavia, yes.
Tell
I could
me
send
more.
a link to that. Well, again, it's.
I think you were getting a battery when you talked about it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Never mind.
Yeah, you left the room.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Watch the replay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should check us out at heartsneedart.org/podcast and listen to the podcast.
Okay, my
Yeah,
computer was dying. It was
Yeah.
a whole thing.
Fotavia is very exciting. It's just something, and what we've been testing. I can send a little example or some other links to you guys, but it creates such engagement. I mean, again, as I just mentioned, it can take a 2-minute V clip and we can have a 20-minute discussion with a group after that. So that's pretty exciting. And you learn the caregivers learn, everybody learns about each other. But caregivers get to learn we really become a benefit for them as well. It's an activity that they've never done before. This is a different way of doing it. And if it's a picture, if somebody doesn't recognize it, it seems familiar. And
Hmm.
somebody again will always say something. If it's a picture of a kid playing marbles, it's like, I remember that,
Hmm.
or I never played marbles, but my father or whatever, it's
Hmm.
just, it goes from there. So it's different than seeing pictures of yourself.
Hmm.
I think that's a different kind of therapy, but it's pretty interesting, just all the conversation.
Something that you mentioned the benefit to caregivers, and I'm even thinking of the other day, I was in a cancer center and on the TV, when you walk in and check in, it's like the news. And I'm like, why? This is
Mm.
very stressful stimulation.
Oh yeah.
And I think so often in those in care environments, it kind of defaults to whatever's easiest, which putting people in front of a TV is often kind of the default. We do it with children too, right? But
Here's your
Oh, but
iPad.
that's
Go away.
that's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay.
it's fine. But what it seems like is it's that same level of energy output needed from the caregivers, right? But a much more positive and meaningful impact
Exactly.
on the receivers. So
Yeah,
you've
we're
done the
not
work for them, right?
we are
Which is
not
great.
a babysitting tool.
Yeah.
We're not relaxation. We when we were in the hospital, they were uh, in that after that pilot test at Aurora, they told us a number of things that we weren't. Yes, we reduced noise. They thought that we were engaging. They thought that we were different than anything else. We weren't relaxation videos. They were talking, oh, relaxation videos are up 40%. Oh, really? What's that mean? And well, it was like they're getting 4 views. Well, people are falling asleep to it. That's why because they had such great titles like the fireplace channel. What's
Oh.
that? That log that's burning, and it just
Mhm.
and you get ooh. And what's the other great title? The fish tank channel. That's our
Ah.
competition. Because you just sit and you look at that blue fish, and sure enough, it keeps coming around again every 2 minutes, right? Well, that isn't what happens. So they said that what we would do if families were visiting, there would be conversation. There'd
Mm.
be people talking over us, and it's not like it's different than a typical film or something, or if it's a TV show, you're going to stop and listen.
Mm.
Well, people they can't stop and listen. It's like, oh, I remember that, and brr, 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 brr. And
That's
that's the
awesome.
magic. So
Yeah.
everybody makes movies. All the traditional filmmakers. Um, but we kind of produce movies that we want people to talk over. We want them to get engaged and to interact, and that's maybe a little bit different, I guess.
Mm.
And well, it is to them. So they said one last thing that I thought was pretty amazing in what we talk about is they believe that we would reduce the number of call buttons every day
Mm.
because it would take people's minds off of their pain and focus on something else. So that was really kind of interesting to me, where I could almost monetize that and tell them, well, if somebody takes 5 minutes to come over and they're $25 an hour and it happens 365 times a day in 200 or 600 rooms, oh my gosh. So all of a sudden the math, it was like, we can save you $250,000 in time. What would you
Mhm.
do with that? So um, it's pretty exciting, I guess, from a number of different levels.
Hmm. Yeah.
Can you tell everybody who Pat is? And then
Yeah.
you sent over a video, so I wanna play that as well, so people can hear from her.
Pat Durham is one of our biggest advocates. We met her, like I said, I think in 2017 or 2020, maybe it was before that. And she understood immediately what we were doing. And we she's been showing Fotavia 24/7 in the memory care area at Heritage at Deer Creek here in Wisconsin. And I'll tell you the last story about her. She called me one day and she said, I have to tell you a story, Joe. And I'm like, oh. And she said, if the power goes out here, or if for some reason Fotavia gets turned off, people think that somebody is missing. And I said, what? Can you say that again? Because I think that's important. She says, if it's off, they think somebody is missing. So I said, you need to write that down, or we need to
Huh.
get you on video saying that. And I'm not even quite sure how to explain it, but all I know is like, we're not replacing anybody, but we've taken on a persona where they feel comfortable or they think they're having a conversation.
Mm.
I don't know, but that was big stuff.
So interesting.
Wow.
Cool.
All right, we're gonna play Pat's video. And then don't let me forget at the end, at some point, to tell you about Artery Inc.
Oh,
That
yes.
just popped in my head. And if I don't say it, I'm going to do it. But here's Pat.
Oh,
Being the friend is the best thing you can be for somebody with dementia. Taking them as they are in that moment, because every moment can be different. Sometimes when a resident's having a difficult day, if we take them and sit them down and we can center them on Fotavia, it can help reduce the need to give them a drug to settle them down.
See more about how Fotavia helps PATS residents at Heritage Senior Living, where care and innovation lead the way, at fotavia.net.
yeah, I told you that was kind of a goosebump moment for me too. When she called and said, yeah, I use it. I take people if they're if they're in a funk, she said, if they're in a mood, I take them out of the group and we go to your website and we just watch 2 samples of V-clips. So that's 4 minutes and we have a little conversation and it'll reduce their anxiety and stress. And I can reintroduce them to the group without having to give them any drugs. And when I heard that, I was just like, oh yeah.
Wow.
So that was, now we can't claim that, but it was amazing just to hear that's how she used it as to help her do her job. And to, that's a big issue about medication, obviously. Everybody's concerned about it. And if you're putting a parent or whatnot in a situation, that's one thing you want to hear. That
It reminds me of the Dr. Bessel van de Kolk, who's one of the leading trauma experts. He talks about for people's physiology to calm down and heal, they need a visceral feeling of safety. They need to feel seen and they need to feel heard and they need to feel connected with another person. And it sounds like Fotavia is facilitating that in a really in a really special, I'm already choked up, in a really special and authentic way. And it's scalable and it's really exciting.
No, it's, and we met some other folks, like there's our therapist who's an advocate too, Angel C. Duncan, and she has all other ideas on how to work with us with the different populations. So, it's just neat. We didn't have to come up with all these ways for it to be used. And again, and I think, you brought up a great point. It's funny, if you go to the doctor's office and you're going to have your blood pressure checked and then the news is on, what the heck? And the other things that we've seen and heard, it's even better. Well, let's just say some of the people there, the employees, let's say if it's in a hospital again or something, stranger enough, they'll go over and turn on, something called General Hospital. And why would I want to sit in the chair and it's like, well, Joe, you have a brain tumor the size of New Jersey, and I don't think it's going to be able to be. And I'm sitting there wanting to get my blood pressure checked. No. And Fotavia would it would calm me down again if they had the sound on or not. Because of the vision, because the type's there, somebody's still gonna, you're gonna get something. You learn things without knowing it with this stuff. So it is lifelong learning. It's therapeutic. It's engaging. It's educational. Can you have it on at cocktail parties around the Christmas time? Yes, probably. Again, we thought it could be in high-end hotels. It would be great to have these old images and then create conversations from that. It would happen. So, so many different uses and so many exciting things that people in the healthcare world, they're helping, they're discovering it for us. And again, we still hear stuff every day. Oh, I did this, I did that. That's just great. So,
and I think it's a testament too to people who think that in order to have any benefits from the arts, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of time. This is 2-minute videos that are working. So it's not like you need to set aside an hour to go do something like this podcast episode, which is going to be 4 hours long. But it's 2 minutes and there are benefits to that. So people need to think about that when they're thinking about how the arts can benefit them. We're going to take a break. so I can get water and coffee. And Joe wants to give away stuff. So when we come back, we're going to learn about how you can get free stuff from Joe. And then you have a really fun, creative thing that people can start doing today that most people probably have in their pockets right now, or maybe they're listening to this right now with the thing that they need. And then also, I want to talk about the Life Enrichment Virtual Summit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we're going to be right back after this.
Whether you consider yourself a musician or not, music is all around us, and it affects our everyday lives. Whether it's background music influencing our shopping habits in a store, organ music adding the vibe to a baseball game, or a playlist convincing us to keep going on that last mile of a run. I'm Mindy Peterson, host of the podcast Enhance Life with Music, where we take a holistic look at the power of music in our everyday lives through the lens of science and health, sports and entertainment, business, and education. You can find me and Enhance Life with Music at mpetersonmusic.com/podcast or wherever you get your audio. Unleash the power of music.
Make your day richer with The Richard Wilmore Show. Meet amazing musicians, talented actors, brilliant authors, hilarious comedians, and the most creative people in entertainment. Download the KP Media TV app to watch on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire.
Medical professionals are burning out at an alarming rate. Burnout can cause health workers to feel hopeless, trapped, helpless, worthless, depressed, sleepless, and tired. By joining the Hearts Need Art Gratitude Grams program, medical staff receive a personalized email and video from a musician, an artist, or writer once a week that includes a message of thanks, an encouraging song, uplifting poem, or a simple art activity. After watching their gratitude gram, participants report feeling more hopeful, empowered, energized, and appreciated. If you are or know a healthcare worker that would like to receive free gratitude grams, please visit heartsneedart.org.
Oh, hi, we're back. I forgot which one was the last one. We're back with Joe from Fotavia. Joe,
Yes.
what I saw in your pre-interview form was a quote that said, "I create something every day." And I feel like I say that all the time, that how lucky I am that I get to be creative every day of my life. And it's already noon, and
Yeah.
we're supposed to be out of here like 35 minutes ago. But I want to kind of talk about that for a second, of how you feel that you get to create every day and what that does for your own health.
Yeah.
And then what people can do, your little toolbox idea of what people can do today to start being creative.
Yeah, I'm kind of blessed. I mean, I remember doing, drawing when I was young, and drawing, coming home and unlocking my apartment door downtown Milwaukee. My mom was a single mom in the 60s. So I'd get the little key, from standing on a chair, and then I'd go in and put on Batman or the Munsters or something, and I'd get out my pad and I'd start drawing. And apparently I could do that for a long time. So as high school went on, I won some awards and I got recognition, and everybody supported me, from friends to family, hey, he's the artist, so all that was great. Well, then I went to college and studied at UWM for a couple of years, and found out that something about design. I learned about, film, photography, sculpture, painting, drawing, all that stuff. Design was a little bit of a challenge to me, but I somehow got interested in it, and I got one of my professors gave me a little, I won an award for the highest grade for the year, I guess. And it was a little stupid bowling trophy that he painted baby blue and put a little balsa wood base. But I just wrote about that, and he thanked me, and he said he's done that in other classes around the country, and he got a chuckle out of that. But so design was a real challenge in getting into that. So people come to me then for the last 30 plus years, let's say. And so I've got to work on over like 500 brands, and I've touched them. I've either actually did the artwork or I was directing it. And it's just amazing. So there's like the other day, in fact, so our friends, I was talking about Mind Ramp earlier. So there, Michael C. Patterson has this idea about a game of emotion, and we decided to call it Modus. And I said, well, I can build you a game, and I can build you all these cards. And so, a week ago, it was just an idea to Michael, but now it's like tangible.
Ooh.
And here it is.
Wait, this was literally a week ago?
Well, and I've been working on it a little
Oh,
longer, but a week
like,
ago.
oh my gosh, you're very quick.
Let's say we talked
Wow.
about it for a month or so. But I mean,
Wow.
Still,
to be able to
wow.
get the cards, there's 160 little cards in here, and now it's a mock-up that he can. I mean, it looks real. Obviously, the deck of cards are sealed in there, and it's the real deal. So now he can take it out. We had a dozen of them made, and he's going to go out and test it and see what happens. But this is the kind of stuff. So somebody will say, Joe, can you do this for you? Can you name our company? Can you brand it? Can you do this? Can you do the website? And today there's nothing. And then there it is. It's here.
That's so cool.
Wow.
And that's what, I guess that kind of excitement, if it's a drawing, if it's design work, I've been lucky enough to be doing it all along. Or if it's, I didn't know you had another complete different show, but when my parents, because I was too into art and too much into sports and girls, they said that I couldn't have a guitar and I couldn't have drums. So you know what you buy right away.
Of course.
You're 19 and you go. So I bought a drum set for $75 from a guy. I was loading trucks on the dock, and he's like, "Oh, I got this old blue sparkle set." And I'm like, "Oh yeah." So yeah, I bought that. A couple of years later, then some guys that I went to art school with here have a band, and all of a sudden I'm in the band. I'm like, I never played in front of anybody. Then another couple of years later, we're playing Summerfest, and then I ended up playing CBGB in New York City twice. So it was I retired. I think that's my career. It was like, wow, I'm done.
Ends on a high note.
Where's the mic? But I mean, I'm just lucky and blessed to be able to do all this. So, if I'm bored or when I'm done right now, I can go downstairs and just jam out and whatever, and then get back to designing or doing some new content for Fotavia. I mean, it's really, really again, it's just I can't really explain it. It's just I have a blast. I mean, every day, I guess being able to talk to you guys, I mean, you probably get it a little bit, but I'm just lucky. I mean, I can't imagine being in another career. Although, you know what, I have to be. The last 7 years, I've learning. I don't want to be geeky, but I am learning the stuff about the brain. But I mean, how close is science and art, really?
Yeah.
I mean, Michelangelo, was he an artist or was he a scientist?
Mm-hmm.
I think that those two kind of go along the same plane too. So maybe I'm not into unfamiliar water, or maybe I'm not, just
Close
dabbling.
cousin. Yeah.
Yeah. So does that answer your question? I don't even know where we're going. But
that does answer the question. So how can people who don't get to be creative all day, how can they be creative today?
So I taught typography at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee and at the Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design years ago. But part of my gig, I guess, I thought I would always try and surprise these students. So we would try and do fun little things, maybe as unexpected little treat. But then I've had a number of interns. I probably had 50 interns over the year. But this thing has been really important, I think, to everybody in the last 15 years.
For those of you listening, he's holding up his phone.
Yes. So, yes, I don't want to make it an ad for the Apple iPhone, but I make images every day with this. And I don't think, I mean, I wish it would have been around 40 years ago. And I just I've watched, let's say, a couple hundred documentaries. Yes, I've produced a couple hundred plus, but I watched one on Andy Warhol the other day. It's like a 6-part series on Netflix. Pretty interesting stuff, but Andy had a camera with him all the time. I can't imagine what he would have done, with this thing, honestly. But this tool has changed my life. There's just moments that happen, from walking by and seeing a bug to just something cool, a cool sign, or I don't know, just things, color combinations, lighting, things in the sky, but a lot of things up close, because this thing can, you can really create some magic up close. So one thing that I've told, or what I've challenged people to do, is to take this thing and think about the alphabet. We'll just do it that simple, right? So go out today and capture an A in the world. And what I mean by that is don't just go out and photograph a sign that has an A in it, which I still think is cool. You could do that if you want to, but look at things a little bit different and see if you can find A's. So could an A be, could it be this book sitting like this? Well, yeah, that's kind of an A. Could it be, the corner of this package? Oh yeah, that could work. So
looking for shapes, like the shapes of the letters.
Yeah. But again, if you found a big sign, if you were walking somewhere and, there's a big A on a park sign, I'm going to shoot that. That would be fine. So now you're going to have to look at things. What B's are there out there in the world? Do that every day, and then watch what happens by the end of the month, what you have collected, and put those all together. You probably make a book, and it'd be really kind of cool.
Interesting.
That's so
I
cool.
love that.
It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. It's sitting right there all the time. So it's fun. Again, I don't think there's a day that I haven't just shot something that way.
I like that.
And tell everybody about the Life Enrichment Virtual Summit that's happening in April.
Oh, we're pretty excited about that. We're sponsoring that event through Senior Living. And now I'm drawing a blank. What's the name of the organization? Anyway, Jack York is one of our friends. He's the founder of IN2L, which is a pretty unique system that's in senior living centers around the country, thousands of them. And it's an interactive, kind of super cool tool, at least I like. They'll have from 20 to 80-inch screens, and you can do painting on them and interact with family and do puzzles and other things. So they're really one of the leaders of the industry, and he's going to have a lot of tips for caregivers. And the summit goes on. It's 4 different days in April, and I think it's called Evolve 2022. And I think if you're a caregiver, if you just need a little bit of recharging and some fun energy, I would recommend checking that out. And I think there's 10 or so at least kind of main speakers. Again, it's like April 5th, 7th, 12th, and 14th. Life Enrichment Virtual Summit. It's you can find out more information. Are you putting up links to that, or
yes?
How are we
yeah,
doing
we'll
that?
throw it in the show notes on the podcast.
Senior Living Foresight, and those guys do some amazing stuff. Steve Moran and whatever that group, they're just amazing. So pretty happy to be connected with them and exciting to explore some other things. So
cool.
I recommend checking it out. Should be a good recharge.
Cool. Awesome.
And I swear we're going to get this in under an hour. So tell everybody how they can get free stuff from you.
Let's see. You can email me directly and just tell me how great Fotavia. You probably really want to watch Fotavia, so we'll send you something to preview some stuff. It's actually at fotavia.net/preview, and you'll be able to see some things. But go ahead, send me an email and just say that I want to win some free swag, and we'll get you either a T-shirt like this, maybe the Bring Life Back to Life. It's kind of an internal saying that we use around here, or I designed, actually, I was lucky enough to be part of an organization here in Milwaukee called Independence First, and I worked with, I think, 4 or 5 great photographers in the area and writers, and we did stories and pictures of kind of real life care stories. So I'm going to give out a couple of these, and still very proud of that. And then or some of these life picture collections. And
beautiful.
Give out.
Are podcast hosts eligible for these things, or is that just for
I don't know. I didn't read the fine print.
I didn't either. I just saw free stuff and I was like, sold. I'll write that down.
I don't know what else free I said that I would do, but we'll do a subscription to Photavia.tv. You'll probably give away at least one of those. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah. What did I say? Send it to me, Joe H at Photavia.net.
.net.
Typo there, yeah. But yeah, do it there, or go on social media and just say I want to win some free swag, and everybody should get Photavia or talk about us. Spread the news. I mean, that's what I'm really. I mean, I honestly, that's the worst thing I feel is that I'd known about what we've been doing. I kind of had to take care of my dad about 7 years ago in the summer, and he was in northern Wisconsin. He called it God's country. I'd go up there and
that's what they call it there.
Yeah, he didn't want to.
That's where I'm from.
He wanted to age in place, and I kind of learned the value of that then. I mean, he really enjoyed it, and I just wish that Photavia was around then. I wish I told him about it. I told him what was going on, and I could share some things. But so many people that we talk to now, if somebody has had dementia or Alzheimer's in their family, as soon as I say something, they're like, "Oh, where were you? Oh my gosh, it would have been so good." And I feel bad. I feel that we're a little bit disrupting, maybe in the field, if you will, and it's just getting a little bit. It's a little bit harder to get the news out there quicker. But again, most people who see it, and certainly caregivers, when they get to experience it, it's great. And we've been having a lot more traction lately. So I'm real excited about where this is going. And I appreciate you guys having me on here, because this has been a little bit of fun.
Great.
I learned something about you guys, and I got to share with the rest of the world. And that's all I can do, is I can hope that we can keep sharing. And
that's awesome.
I think we're making this. I think we're making a difference. And I think, I mean, when I told investors when they first, I said, I think we can change the world. I really do. And I hate to say it, it seems cliche every day, but we are. And I want to continue. I want to keep doing it. So,
well, we're happy to have you on and give you a platform and share what you're doing with our listeners. So by all means, if you're interested in learning more, go to Photavia.net. There's a link in the show notes, and check this out. It's great.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
We did it in under an hour. We're changing the world in under an hour. That's the new tagline for the podcast. Wherever you're watching or listening, make sure you subscribe and rate us, or I don't know what you do, review it. I'm not quite sure what happens there. I don't understand it. Do a TikTok about us. I'm not sure. But make sure you contact Joe and win a bunch of stuff, because that's also what it's all about as well. So thank you, everyone. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Arts for the Health of It, a podcast produced by Heartsmeet Art, creative support for patients and caregivers, in partnership with the National Organization for Arts and Health. You can help others learn about the healing power of the arts by subscribing, sharing, and reviewing the podcast wherever you listen or watch. The podcast is hosted by Richard Wilmore, co-hosted by Constanza Rader. Our theme song, Songbird, is written and performed by Natalie Lane. Visit heartsmeetart.org to learn how you can support our mission to create joy with people facing life-altering health challenges. Join us next week to learn more ways you can create arts for the health of it. The views expressed on this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of Heartsmeet Art, their staff, board members, or other affiliates. All content is created for informational purposes only. This podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice or to diagnose and treat any health condition. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health professional with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you heard on this podcast.